talk about some of the top stacks for DraftKings in Week 10, and I hope that they could help you take down a GPP. But all you gotta do is take your quarterback, brother, and put 2 wide receivers with him and find your way all the way up to the top. We're gonna go over the spreads on all these games. We're gonna take a look over at Underdog and build a pick'em card. We're gonna go over to Fantasy Labs and build things over there. The cheat sheet's gonna come out on Friday afternoon like it always does. Same stuff. Become a channel member, smizzle.tv/join. Join the Discord, smizzle.tv/discord. This video is 5 stacks. One of them is somewhat going to be a puke stack, so I look a little bit deeper on the sheet. Also, we record this video. It's 9:30 in the morning on Thursday afternoon. So the slate is nothing close to being finalized. Even if you're watching this on Friday night or Saturday afternoon or Sunday morning, this is recorded earlier. I put out other content later in the week. The Friday Lineup Builder show, we put out our cheat sheet that I try to maintain throughout the weekend in Discord for channel members here on YouTube. So if a stack doesn't appear in this video, it doesn't mean they're not viable or playable. And it also doesn't mean that we can't change our tune as the weekend goes along and new information breaks, opening things up that may not have been available to us when I'm recording this video. So if something's doing well on the weekend and I have it and you don't see it in this video, doesn't mean I'm hiding something from you. It means that something changed on the slate that changed the information, and I will do what I can to keep that in the cheat sheet and on the Anti-Tinkercast 45 minutes before kickoff on Sunday morning on twitch.tv. So thank you guys for being here. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell, and let's go.
He's a legend.
The Smizz Gang Listener League for Week 10 is in the DraftKings not lobby. It's in the link tree if you wanted to go find it. Smizzle.tv/links. $10 to enter, 3 max, $40,000. 100% of that gets paid right back out. Absolutely no rake. The best tournament that exists on DraftKings. And I will shout out the top 10 finishers on the recap video for Week 10 on the Al Smizzle Fantasy Football channel. The link to that is also in the link tree. You can go straight to smizzle.tv/ff if you wanted to go become a subscriber over there. I think we have like 8,600 subs on that channel. And like I said, recap video, I go over everything that I do, and I shout out the top 10 finishers. Let's take a look at this slate overall. Houston goes to Cincinnati. Cincy favored by 6.5. 47 is the total there, one of the highest team totals on the week. Browns go to Baltimore, 38. 49ers in Jacksonville, 45 total here. Jacksonville looking to play from behind in this one, at least as far as Vegas is concerned, even though that they're at home. Interesting spot. 49ers struggling so far to get a lot of pressure on the passer, and they've been very giving to opposing outside wide receivers, usually because they play from ahead and teams get to pass more pass game scripts. Minnesota Vikings at home against the Saints. 41 is the total here. Packers and the Steelers, 39 total. Not interested in either stack from that game. Spoiler alert. Buccaneers favored by 1, 39.5 over Tennessee. This game I think is going to get a lot of attention. The Lions and the Chargers. I don't have either team in this video. If you want to stack either side, more than capable of doing that. It is very expensive to get there. It did not pop as a value for either team, and I focus on stacking value for this one, but this game has a lot of upside. This is the game that I think has probably the best potential of scoring over 60 real life points, and we kind of know where the ball is going to go. Pay attention to who is healthy and not healthy. And they're very expensive. A lot of players over 8K at skill positions. You're going to have to pick and choose who you want. That's why it's not popping as a value. The Falcons and the Arizona Cardinals, 43 is the total there. The Cardinals getting Kyler Murray back for this week. Giants and Cowboys, 39 is the total, but the Cowboys, 16.5 point favorites. That's filthy. So what's this? 20, let's say it's 19 plus 8.5 there, 27.5 total. Commanders and Seahawks. Seahawks favored by 6. Geno stack's going to be very popular. Washington passing the ball an absolute ton. Let's get to the first stack, and it's going to be Joe Burrow. But we have to be careful with this one. Joe Burrow looks like he's back to being Joe Burrow. With 3 of the last 4 games, 27, 27, 25, completing 31 passes, 28 passes, 24 passes, 36 passes. With DraftKings scoring, that's freaking phenomenal. 300-yard bonus in 2 of the 4, close to it in a third, multiple passes, multiple touchdown passes in all 4 of those games. So Joe Burrow, full sexiness for this game week. And going up against Houston, who really doesn't have, they have a good defensive philosophy. They're a budding defense. They're going to get better. as the season maybe goes along, and next season and the year after, with the draft picks that they have and the salary cap space that they have and the coaching philosophy that they have. But they're not quite there yet, and nobody can really stop Jamar Chase if he's healthy. He came down really hard on his back and was getting treatment for the most of the second half of that game. Monitor practice reports for Thursday. They're not out yet. And Friday. See what we are going to feel for this game. If Jamar Chase goes and he is not in decoy mode, great. The other problem with this is that T. Higgins is now was limited in Wednesday. Now, look, I'm going to say this just like I say it every week. Wednesday practice reports are like, I take them with a grain of salt. Veterans typically get Wednesday off because they just give veterans Wednesdays off. They'll practice, but like if they're like, hey, I got a headache, coach, they just let him take the day off. It's not even a thing, but because he was limited yesterday, they have to put it there. He's questionable right now because that's the only injury designation that actually exists. But if Chase doesn't go, T. Higgins at 6,500 becomes like one of the best wide receiver values of the year. If Chase plays and Higgins plays, this is where most people are going to want to go. Tyler Boyd as well. Irv Smith finally starting to pop a little bit. 4 targets each of the last 2 games with a touchdown last game. Finally, if you're looking for a cheap option with this stack, and plenty of bring back plays on the other side. Trevor Lawrence, he's 6K. Like, I know that he hasn't done a whole lot in terms of fantasy, right? We haven't seen the 30-point game. We've seen one 20-point game. But can we consider the schedule for just a second? Against Pittsburgh, game that they could easily control on the ground. New Orleans, they had to battle a little bit. He threw it 29 times. He's not getting the attempts. He's being efficient. Indy, 37-20. That's an unserious game. They beat Atlanta 23-7. That's an unserious game. All these games, though, rating of 100, 100, 91, 102, 105. So if they are pushed with the amount that he is running the football this year, with, aside from the Pittsburgh game, 8 rush attempts, 7 rush attempts against Buffalo, 8 rush attempts against Atlanta, he is not a statue in a pocket quarterback. He is a mobile quarterback. We have plenty of cheap wide receivers because of the lack of a ceiling from the quarterback, which, if the quarterback has a big day, the wide receivers are definitely going to have a big day as well. And with San Francisco giving up like the 4th most points to opposing wide receivers on DraftKings, because they are giving up so much time to opposing quarterbacks, they have not been able to generate a viable pass rush consistently for at least the last month and a half, which is why they went after Chase Young. 6K for him. Ridley basically just running outside. Saw 10 targets last time against Pittsburgh, who is very susceptible outside in that game that they played against them. 5,600 there. Zay Jones, monitor his injury. Evan Engram at 4,500, though they are tougher there. But Travis Etienne has basically been the reason that they have not had to do anything through the air. Way more involved in the passing game. Still not going to stack him with Lawrence, but if everybody's going to flock to this, which I don't think that they are, but most weeks they have, right? Where he's had multiple touchdowns in 3 straight games from weeks 5, 6, and 7. If he's not able to get it done on the ground in the last 3 weeks, somewhat inefficient, and San Francisco is still very good against the run, they will try to establish it, but they might have to have more success on the outside. And if they play from behind, that gives us more of a chance for positive game scripts for them to have to throw it 40 plus. If they throw it 40 plus with as efficient as Lawrence has been, he is not due. That's not the right word, but like, it's impossible to be as efficient as he's been if he throws it more times for him to not have multiple touchdowns, possibly 3 of them, which would make this double stack extremely viable. And are there any bring back plays on the other side? Maybe. He's good. He's back. Yeah, I think you could find yourself some bring back plays that have tournament ceiling viability on the other side of your Jacksonville doubles. Speaking of the bringbacks from the Bengals stack, CJ Stroud had himself a day last week with 5 touchdowns. I believe what I put in the cheat sheet was his volume has made the pass catchers extremely viable for Houston. And if he happens to throw touchdowns, the ceiling is reliant on touchdowns, but the median is more than buoyed by the fact that he throws the ball so much in competitive games. This game completely ceiling, scoring almost 80 points on the day, completed 30 passes for 470 yards and 5 touchdowns. We don't know right now the injury designation for everyone else. Bobby Trees still not practicing. If Bobby Trees misses, that opens up everything else. We also have Nico Collins, limited participant due to a calf injury. Again, Wednesday practice reports, grain of salt, realize where it's going to be later. The thing that I like about these Houston stacks this week, I know that a lot of people are going to say CJ Stroud went bonkers last week. He's not going to go bonkers again. So you definitely can't play him the second week in a row. And everybody's going to be on that stack. I don't think everybody's going to be on this stack. 1, $6,900 for CJ Stroud is expensive. 2, all these players, like Nico didn't. He had 14 points, did catch a touchdown. He didn't go off, but Tank Dell went off, and he's 5,500. Noah Brown, who we highlighted on the Friday show and definitely on the Anti-Tinkercast, had another game with 6 targets. This is where they want him, and also broke a long 75-yard touchdown after having a 34-yarder and a 31-yarder the previous 2 games. And then at tight end, Dalton Schultz has gotten plenty of volume all season long and also had a long play. The thing is, Cincinnati has allowed, if we have a situation where Bobby Trees is out again, Cincinnati has allowed the most explosive passing plays, 20 yards or more, per game in the league. Nobody allows more big plays than the Cincinnati Bengals pass defense. So if Woods is out, we have a consolidated 4 players where the targets are going to go. We have them in a situation where they're almost a touchdown dog on the road and will have to throw the ball against a defense that can't stop people from having big plays on the road. And Wednesday practice report only, but Dameon Pierce was not practicing on Wednesday. If he doesn't play again, we have the very failable Chalk playing 80% of snaps with Devin Singletary, making this CJ Stroud team another stackable option once again. He can't possibly have multiple touchdowns again. Well, didn't we watch Justin Fields throw for 4 touchdowns and then throw for 4 touchdowns again the next week already this season? Like, it's not impossible. I don't think that quarterback ownership is going to be that high, because it never really is. And that price at $6,900 is somewhat restrictive, but the price of the pass catchers is not. I like these doubles. You can bring it back with whoever's the most viable or 2 viable receivers on Cincinnati if you wanted to go for an onslaught too. I like it. It's a path. And I think it's going to be a less played path than Burrow, who looks like he's going to be the chalkiest quarterback of the week. Let's head over to Underdog Fantasy. And all these things are changing because as soon as I started recording, everybody bet the Trevor Lawrence overs and the Christian Kirk overs. If you do not have an account over at Underdog Fantasy, make sure that you go get one. You get up to a $500 free deposit bonus on your first deposit to the site when you use code ALSMIZZLE. That's all one word, ALSMIZZLE. So why not take the free cash, play their fun pick'em games? Hopefully they're available in your state. Let's go Trevor Lawrence over 242.5. Let's pair him with Christian Kirk. Get a little correlation here at 53.5 receiving yards. Joe Burrow over 280.5 and CJ Stroud over 262.5 pass plus rushing yards. $100 to win 1,000. Click submit. Boom. Confirm. That's what we're going to play this week. We'll see how it goes. I wish you the best of luck, but definitely if you don't have an account over at Underdog, go get one. Kyler Murray's back, and I'm hoping that he's not playing too much Call of Duty because it just came out. 0.0 everywhere. It can't be worse than what they've had at quarterback before. Clayton Tune, not good. Okay? Clayton Tune, they're not throwing. Oh, we were going to throw the ball over the place with Clayton Tune. Joshua Dobbs did a fantastic job with what he had to deal with, but he is not the quarterback talent that Kyler Murray is. I'm not expecting 10-12 rush Kyler Murray. I'm not. Okay? But I'm expecting more efficiency on his throws, which means that with Connor still in IR and no real running back threat in a game that they project to play from behind, guys like Marquise Brown at 5,200 with the amount of volume that should be headed his way and more efficiency on that volume seems to be underpriced. I know that Rondale Moore is not somebody that I target, but I've seen him popping in 3 different projection models this week. If you want to play him, go ahead. I think that he's essentially like, let's say he's JD McKissick with less pass game volume. So like, he seems extremely thin to me, but if Kyler can unlock him, great. Monitor Michael Wilson's availability. He practiced a little bit on Wednesday. If he plays this weekend, I like him more at 3,500. And at tight end, playing 95% of the snaps and routes is Trey McBride. Easy floor play, feels like a cash game play at tight end, which allows you an extremely cheap 5,900, 35. Like, you can get way cheap with this. And the problem is the bringbacks, because everybody hates Arthur. Nobody likes him at this point, but you want to attack. Hopefully Drake London's back. He's the only one that's had really consistent red zone and end zone usage so far. So the touchdown upside is way more viable with Drake London. Clearly he didn't play last week because of the injury. Solid bring back play there. Who knows when Bijan Robinson's going to do things. It's not Bijan's fault. He's got to be allowed to be on the field to do things, but he's 6K. I posted a tweet yesterday that was like a Black Friday, people breaking into the store. When Arthur Smith gets fired, it's going to be like the end of Return of the Jedi. We're going to be doing the jub jub dance and all that stuff, and everybody's going to play Bijan Robinson, who by that time is probably going to be 4,800 on DraftKings, because Arthur Smith has given him one inside the 5 carry so far this year. And Kyle Pitts would be the other one if you're not going to play, or if you want to go 2 tight end, which I personally don't. He's getting enough end zone usage. So is Jonnu Smith. This team just pisses me off. I don't want to talk about them anymore. And the puke stack of the week, speaking about Joshua Dobbs, and speaking about people who dealt an L to Arthur Smith, how could he not be our puke stack this week? They go up against New Orleans. Last week, Joshua Dobbs didn't know their cadences. He was forced into action, and without knowing anything, they were playing backyard, in the street, go to the third car and go left and I'll find you type of offense. And homie posted 26.92 points without knowing anything. What do we know about Joshua Dobbs? Well, we know that he's 5,500. We know that they're playing at home. We know that he's got another week of practice, or at least a week of practice. We know that he might know his teammates' names a little bit more now. We also know that he targets the hell out of his tight end. They got a pretty good one at 5K. We know that Addison has the ability to get downfield, and he likes undersized wide receivers from what we saw of him last year in Tennessee and this year so far. And he's 5,900. Other wide receivers, KJ Osborne, monitor him. He has a concussion. He may not play, which now opens up more value for us. Whether it's going to be with Powell, whether it's going to be with Naylor, whether it's going to be with Jackson. Let's figure out by Sunday who is going to start opposite, and hopefully if we get JJ back, he'd be viable too. In a position that nobody wants to play with Joshua Dobbs, I think that there is possibility with a week's worth of practice with this team, we have the ability to get after him. Let's head over to Fantasy Labs. Let's go to the optimizer. We're going to load my settings. Let's view settings. Let's bring up my 2023 template. This is where I start every single week. You can edit this as you will, freeze frame if you need to. I'm going to force at least one running back and wide receiver that's under 12%. We're going to stack and double stack these guys throughout the quarterbacks. And if you wanted to get a discounted subscription over to Fantasy Labs with their great projections, their lineup builder tool, projections and lineup builder for college football, NBA, and everything else, golf included. The 6-month plan is your best bet. Go to smizzle.tv/labs with an uppercase L. Just realize that you're not just going to click the generate button and immediately start printing money. You do have to spend a lot of time figuring out the allocations and correlations and everything else that you want and the combinations you want in your lineup, and build all the rules that you need to get the lineups that you wanted to build and combinations you wanted to build by putting in different sorts of rules every single week. I have a video, plenty of videos over in the How to Win on DraftKings playlist if you wanted to learn more. Look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.